My name is Nina Delgado, and 3 months ago, I buried a 14-year friendship like it was a dead body. No funeral, no closure, just silence. If you would have told me last year that Jade Hart, the girl who once held my hair back while I threw up tequila at 2 a.m., would be the reason I stopped trusting anyone, I would have laughed. I would have said, "That's my girl. She'd never." But I've learned something ugly. Your best friend knows exactly where to stab you, so no one else sees you bleeding. Jade didn't just betray me. She studied me first, memorized every soft spot, and when the time came, she made it look like love. I didn't see it coming. That's what hurts most. I'm 30. I have a beautiful apartment in Manhattan, a job people fight for, and a skincare routine that could raise the dead. But none of that means anything when you realize the person you trusted with your rawest self, the one who saw you cry, spiral, fail, was just taking notes. Let me start from the beginning. Jade and I met when we were 19, NYU, freshman orientation. She was sitting alone at a dorm mixer, wearing a denim jacket covered in safety pins and patches from bands she couldn't name. Her eyeliner was too thick. Her attitude was thicker. Everyone else walked around trying to impress. She didn't care. I liked her instantly. I was the opposite, neat, type A, polished. I had a 5-year plan before I even unpacked my suitcase. Jade had cigarettes in her bra and a fake ID that somehow always worked. But something about us clicked. Maybe because I needed someone to shake me loose, and she needed someone to keep her grounded. By sophomore year, we were inseparable. Matching tattoos on our ribs, late-night diner runs, crying on rooftops over boys who didn't deserve us. People used to say we were more like sisters than friends. We even moved in together after college. A 2-bedroom in Williamsburg that smelled like takeout and ambition. We had dreams, big ones. I was clawing my way up in public relations. She was working retail by day, designing clothes at night. We used to sit on our fire escape drinking wine out of mugs, talking about the empire we were going to build together. God, I believed her. The first crack came on my 27th birthday. My boyfriend at the time, Marco, threw me this stunning surprise dinner. Rooftop, fairy lights, candlelit tables, the whole Instagram dream. Jade showed up late, wearing a red dress that made her look like the party belonged to her. She toasted to me. Loud, dramatic, funny as always, and everyone clapped. But when Marco kissed me afterward, I saw her expression shift. It was half a second, but it was real. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was something colder, like I had taken something from her that she thought belonged to her. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was tired, drunk, but deep down I knew. Jade never celebrated me unless she was standing next to me in the spotlight. The minute I stepped forward, she flinched. That night was the first time I felt it. The pull, like I was dragging her behind me, and she hated it. Still, I stayed loyal, blinded maybe, or maybe just hopeful. We had history. You don't burn history for one strange look at a rooftop dinner, right? But there were signs. Every time something good happened to me, she found a way to dim it. I got a promotion. She rolled her eyes and said, "God, you're so corporate now." I bought new furniture. She made a joke about me turning into a Pinterest wife. I started dating someone new. She casually dropped that he used to like her back in college. It was constant, subtle, dismissive, like she had to shrink me to breathe. But I never confronted her. I made excuses. She's tired. She's struggling. She doesn't mean it. I gave her the benefit of the doubt until it emptied me out. The day she really showed her teeth was the day I met Adam. I met him at a gallery opening in Soho. He had this quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't try too hard because it doesn't have to. We talked for hours. He asked questions like he meant them. He walked me home and didn't try to kiss me. I fell fast, but I kept it quiet. I didn't tell Jade at first, not because I didn't want to, but because something inside me said, Wait, like my gut already knew. Eventually, I caved. I showed her a picture of us, told her about our third date, how he held the door, how he texted goodnight like it mattered. She smiled. Cute, she said. That was it. No teasing, no jokes, no follow-up, just cute. Like I'd shown her a salad I made for lunch. 2 weeks later, Adam ghosted me. I mean, disappeared. Blocked on everything. Vanished like he'd never existed. I was devastated. I replayed everything, searching for what I did wrong. And then the message came, from a number I didn't know. She told me who you really are. Said you were fake, manipulative, a liar. I didn't believe her at first, but she made a strong case. You should have warned me. No name, no signature. But I knew exactly who she was. I confronted Jade in the kitchen of our apartment, the same kitchen where we used to make midnight pancakes and talk about our future like it was guaranteed. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just asked, "Did you talk to Adam?" She didn't even flinch. "I was protecting you," she said. "By calling me manipulative?" Her mouth curled into a smile that made my stomach twist. People see what they want. I just helped him see faster. That's when I realized it. She didn't love me. She loved being close to me. She loved knowing my secrets, watching me fall, being the one to pick me up just enough to say she was there, but not enough to help me rise. Because if I rose, she'd be left behind. I moved out the next week. I packed in silence. She didn't say goodbye. I blocked her number, erased every photo. I deleted memories like they were stains. But some things don't come out. Sometimes you wake up and still reach for your phone to text her about something stupid. A meme, a moment, a memory. Then you remember. She wasn't your friend. She was your shadow, and she hated the light you walked in. Pretty things break quietly. There's this quote I once read, "The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies." It's true. You don't expect a knife in your back while you're busy laughing at a meme, lying barefoot on the couch next to someone who's seen you ugly cry over a random Tuesday. That's not when it's supposed to happen, but that's exactly when it does. After I left the apartment, I moved into a sublet in Chelsea. 1 bedroom, exposed brick, no dishwasher, but it was mine. Clean slate. I painted the walls white, bought new sheets, even tossed out the pink coffee mugs Jade and I used to fight over every morning. I thought if I could erase her from my space, I could erase her from my head. I was wrong, because she followed me everywhere, in little ways. I'd see a jacket in a store window and remember her saying, "You'd never wear that. Too loud for you." I'd pass our favorite taco spot and hear her voice asking, "God, remember that waiter who hit on both of us?" Even my playlist wasn't safe. I had to delete whole albums just to stop hearing her in my head. It was like living in a haunted house where the ghost still had the Wi-Fi password. Worse than missing her was doubting myself. I started asking questions I didn't want answers to. Had she always hated me a little? Was every laugh, every toast, every hug a mask? Did she actually love me? Or did she just like being close enough to watch me break? I spiraled, quietly, like women do. From the outside, I looked fine. Better than fine. I posted brunch photos. I smiled at work. I hit deadlines. My followers had no idea I cried while brushing my teeth because I didn't know who I was without her. It wasn't heartbreak. It was identity loss. We'd been a we for so long. Nina and Jade, the duo, the brand, the joke, the package deal. Losing her wasn't just painful, it was disorienting. And then came the whispers. Mutual friends started pulling back. People I'd known for years suddenly stopped replying. Group chats I used to light up turned cold. I was still invited to events, but barely, and never by her. At first, I blamed timing. Everyone's busy, life gets loud. Then I got lunch with a girl from our old circle, Rachel. We weren't close, but we shared enough fake smiles to earn one real conversation. We met at a cafe in Soho. I ordered a matcha I didn't want just to keep my hands busy. Rachel looked nervous. So I wasn't sure if I should say anything, she started. My stomach dropped. Say what? She paused. Jade's been talking. My chest tightened. About me? Rachel nodded slowly. She said you went psycho after Adam, that you tried to ruin her job connections, that you were jealous. I blinked. Once, twice. And you believed her? Rachel shook her head. I didn't know what to believe. I mean, you two were always so close, but she's been spinning this story like she's the victim. I felt nauseous. She wasn't just done with me, she was rewriting the narrative. Jade wasn't content with distance. She needed destruction. That's when it clicked. She didn't want me gone. She wanted me discredited, unlovable, unstable, alone. I left that cafe shaking. Not because I was surprised, but because part of me still wasn't. That was the scariest part. The version of Jade I was meeting now, the manipulator, the liar, the actress, wasn't new. She'd always been there. I just didn't want to see her. There were signs. There had been signs. I just kept choosing her anyway, like how she once cried when I told her I was applying to jobs in LA. She said it was because she'd miss me. Now I know it was control. She didn't want me to have a life she wasn't in. Or the time I brought home a new friend from work, another Latina woman like me, sharp, stylish, smart. And Jade made fun of her accent the second she left. I remember being uncomfortable, but I laughed. Because Jade always laughed first. Or how every guy I ever liked somehow used to flirt with Jade first. I ignored all of it. Because when someone's that deep in your life, you'd rather doubt your gut than admit they're poison. So I started cutting everyone off, one by one. Anyone who entertained her, anyone who reposted her stories, anyone who smiled at her posts while knowing what she did to me. It was dramatic, petty. I know that. But sometimes survival is petty. I stopped going to parties. I kept my head down. I worked. I cried. I journaled like my life depended on it. And then something happened. Something that changed everything. I ran into Adam. 3 months after he ghosted me. On a random Wednesday. In a bookstore. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked thinner. Tired. He froze when he saw me. Nina, he said, voice low. I nodded. My throat was tight. My heart tried to escape my chest. Hey, he stepped closer. I owe you an apology. I didn't speak. I should have asked you, talked to you. I let someone else fill in the blanks. You believed her? I did. Silence. She said you had a habit of using people, that you lied about your past, that you'd done it before. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted blood. She made you think I was dangerous. Adam's face crumpled. She said you made up being assaulted in college. Everything inside me shattered. That was a story I had told Jade in tears, snot running down my face, voice shaking. Only once. Only her. She knew how hard it was for me to say out loud, and she used it to destroy me. I turned away before Adam could see my tears. Goodbye, Adam. He called after me, but I didn't turn back. I didn't need closure. I needed healing. But first, I needed revenge. Not the kind you post online. Not loud, not messy, but surgical, quiet, beautiful. I started collecting everything. Screenshots, messages, voice notes, comments. I reached out to old friends, people who also had their own stories. Turns out, I wasn't Jade's first victim, just the most visible. She had a pattern. Charm, attach, drain, discard. I found an ex-friend from college, Aubrey. She said Jade had spread rumors about her cheating on her fiancé after she got engaged. Total lie. Cost her the relationship. Then I found Tara, an old roommate. Said Jade maxed out her credit card and then ghosted her before the rent was due. The stories piled up like receipts. But I didn't want to expose her just to make noise. I wanted her to feel it. So I waited, planned, and picked the exact moment to strike. But that's chapter 3. And trust me, she never saw it coming. The slow burn. They say revenge is best served cold. Whoever said that didn't know how to boil it slow. I wasn't looking for drama. I didn't want to go viral or trash her name on socials. That's Jade's style. Messy, loud, attention-grabbing. The girl has never met a spotlight she didn't love. But me? I'm quieter, smarter, patient, and I was going to take her down like a lady, gracefully, strategically, and with a smile. I gave myself 30 days. 30 days to build the plan. 30 days to execute it, not a second more. Here's how I started. Step 1. Rebuild the connections she burned. People had distanced themselves from me after Jade's Whisper campaign. But time has a way of making people curious. And all it took was a little openness, a casual message, a coffee invite, a shared memory, to get people talking again. I didn't badmouth her. Not at first. I let them talk. I always thought the way she joked about you was weird. She kind of said some things that didn't sit right. She told me you were obsessed with Adam, that you wouldn't leave him alone. But I didn't really believe her. It was amazing. All the doubt that had been simmering under the surface was already there, just waiting for permission. And the more people talked, the more I realized I wasn't alone. Jade didn't just sabotage me. She did it to everyone who stopped orbiting her. Anyone who got too bright, she dimmed them. Anyone who got too far, she dragged them back. She needed to be the main character, even if it meant being the villain in someone else's life. I compiled every conversation, dates, names, screenshots, patterns. I made a file. I named it Mirror. Step 2, the job. Jade had been bragging for months about finally getting a shot with a luxury fashion startup called Lucian's Row. Small brand, big money behind it. She'd been posting mood boards and vague captions like "big things loading." She wasn't officially hired yet, just consulting while they built their team. But I knew someone inside. Caroline had interned for me back when I was at Bramble PR. Smart girl, detail-obsessed, and now working under Lucian's brand strategist. We'd always stayed friendly. I messaged her casually. "Hey, I think my old roommate is working with your team on the L+R rebrand." "Jade Hart? Just curious. She was involved in some pretty serious stuff with me and a few others. Thought I'd flag in case anything gets weird." I attached a few quotes from the Mirror file. Nothing dramatic. Just facts. Calm. Precise. Caroline didn't reply right away, but when she did, wow, that aligns with some weird tension we felt. Thanks for the heads up. This was really helpful. And that was it. I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks until Jade's post disappeared. Then another. Then her Instagram went quiet. She reappeared with a moody black and white selfie, captioned, "Clearing the noise. If you know, you know." Classic. Step 3, the full exposure. I'd never planned to go public. I really didn't. But then Jade did what she always does when control starts slipping. She doubled down. She showed up at a birthday dinner. I was invited. She wasn't. It was for one of our mutuals, Maya. We hadn't seen each other in a while, but Maya had sent a sweet invite and made it clear, "Would love for you to come. Just you." So I went, and halfway through the night, in she walked. Hair perfect, heels loud, smile fake. She hugged Maya like they hadn't stopped speaking 5 months ago. I froze. I told myself I wouldn't react. But then she did something I'll never forget. She came to my table, leaned in, and whispered, "You look tired, Nina. Hope you're doing okay." With a smile, like none of it happened. Like we were still Nina and Jade, 2 girls playing dress-up in a world they didn't belong to. It was the last straw. I went home that night and uploaded the file. I didn't tag her. I didn't name her. But I told the story. It started like this. This is about a girl who pretended to be my best friend for 14 years. She held my secrets like weapons. She watched me bleed and called it love. She whispered lies in rooms I wasn't invited to. This isn't revenge. This is survival. I told everything, not the petty stuff. Not the "she copied my outfits" or "she once flirted with my ex." Just the truth, the real things. How she used my trauma to manipulate someone I loved. How she poisoned my name behind closed doors. how she made me doubt myself so deeply I started rewriting my own memories. I didn't expect much. Maybe a few shares, maybe some sympathy DMs. But it exploded. Thousands of women. Thousands. Comment after comment, message after message. This was my sister. This was my college bestie. I've been trying to explain this feeling for years, and you named it. Pretty girls can be predators too. It went viral, not in a flashy influencer way, but in a quiet war cry way. Women everywhere recognizing the shape of the wound. Not every betrayal comes with fists. Some come with hugs, and no one warns you about those. Jade never commented, never messaged. But 3 days after the post went up, I got a call from Caroline. Lucien plus Roe had officially dropped her. The founder had apparently seen the post. And while I never mentioned names, Jade's track record came up in the comments. Other women stepped forward. She was out, just like that. No press release, no drama, just removed. And I thought I'd feel triumphant, but I didn't. I felt still, like I'd finally put something down I'd been carrying for years. That night, I lit a candle, played soft music, opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving, and I sat in the quiet. It wasn't joy, it wasn't pain, it was something better, peace. But don't get it twisted. That wasn't the end, not even close. Because while some people learn from the flames, others try to burn you right back. And Jade? She was already planning her comeback. Her side of the story. I was naive to think she'd stay quiet. Jade wasn't built for silence. Silence doesn't get you likes. Silence doesn't get people to pick sides. And Jade always needed a side to win. So of course she spoke. It started subtle. A cryptic Instagram story with the words, "There are two sides to every story, and then there's the truth." No photo, just text on a black background. Classic gaslight energy. Then came the carousel post. 5 pictures, aesthetic as hell. Her drinking rosé at a rooftop bar, laughing in slow motion in a boomerang, smiling into a mirror with the caption, "Growth is painful," especially when people would rather keep you frozen in the version of you that served them best. Her followers lapped it up. Dozens of fire emojis. Comments like, "Real queens stay quiet and let karma do her job." "Keep shining, babe. They always come for the brightest ones." I scrolled for too long. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help it. Watching her twist reality into her playground, it made my skin crawl. I didn't respond. I had already said everything that needed to be said. I wasn't going to get dragged into an online back and forth like some petty ex. But what happened next? That wasn't just shade. That was war. A week after her post went up, I started getting calls from blocked numbers, then anonymous DMs. Some said nothing but snakes. Others said things like, "Hope karma hits you harder." Funny how you leave out your part in all this. Word is you're just bitter because he chose her. Then someone left a comment under my viral post. "Don't believe everything you read. Ask her what she did to her roommate back in 19. It got 438 likes in 2 hours. I deleted it. Then I blocked the user. Then I sat on my floor, back against the wall, and tried not to cry. But the truth is, I had been a shitty roommate in 2019. It was a messy time. I was depressed. Coming out of a toxic relationship, I isolated. I was late on rent twice. I wasn't communicative. I left dishes in the sink. It wasn't my proudest era. But I never stole. I never manipulated. I never broke trust. Still, that one little seed of truth pulled out of context was enough to make people question everything. That's what Jade was good at. She never needed to lie. She just rearranged the truth until it looked like something else. I knew I couldn't keep playing defense. I had to find out what she was planning, and fast. I messaged Rachel again, the girl from our old circle who first warned me about the gossip. "You heard anything?" She responded instantly. "Yeah, she's putting together her version. Said she's writing an essay or something, a side of the story that's never been told." I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Of course she was. She couldn't stand that the narrative wasn't hers. Jade always saw herself as the misunderstood icon, the anti-hero, the tragic genius, the girl who got stabbed first, even when she held the knife. Still, I knew if she put her version out there, it would sound good. It always did. She could cry on command. She could spin anything to sound empowering. She could turn "I lied about your trauma to your boyfriend" into "I was protecting someone from emotional harm." That was her gift. And people love a girl who talks pretty while setting fire to everything behind her. But what she didn't expect, what she never saw coming, was that someone from her past would finally speak up. Her name was Nessa. We met in a DM thread. She sent me a message after my post blew up. Said she knew Jade from high school. Said she'd been watching the whole thing unfold and had a lot to say. I gave her my number. She called me the next night, and what she told me made my blood turn to ice. She did the same thing to me, Nessa said, except it wasn't a boyfriend. It was a scholarship. Apparently, they both applied to a competitive fashion grant. Only one girl from their school could get nominated. Nessa had better grades, a stronger portfolio. Everyone assumed it would be her, but then an anonymous tip came in, accusing Nessa of plagiarizing her design work from Pinterest. She was disqualified. Jade got the nomination. Years later, someone from the faculty told Nessa the tip came from a student email, Jade's. She denied it, of course. Nessa said, "But the timing, the details, it was her. I know it was." She paused. She'll burn anything that gets in the way of her being chosen. I asked Nessa if she'd be willing to speak publicly. She said no. Too much time had passed, too much trauma, but she gave me permission to share her story anonymously. She even sent me the email. She'd saved it all these years. It was just vague enough to be believable, just cruel enough to ruin someone. I added it to the mirror file, and then I did something I never thought I would. I sent it to a journalist, a woman named Kyra. She worked for a digital women's magazine, indie, sharp, focused on real stories, not gossip. The kind of publication that cares about patterns of harm in female friendships, not just scandals. I sent the file. I told her, this isn't about drama. It's about someone who knows how to use vulnerability as a weapon, and how many people got cut by it. She replied within the hour, "I've seen influencers take down exes. I've seen celebs feud with each other, but I've never seen someone like her. She's not clout hungry. She's control hungry." We talked for 2 hours, and when the article went live a week later, it didn't name Jade directly. It didn't have to. The headline read, "When Your Best Friend is the Villain, How Female Toxicity Hides in Plain Sight." It featured anonymous stories from women all over, dozens by then. College roommates, former coworkers, exes, family. The mirror file had turned into a chorus, and even Jade couldn't spin her way out of a choir. She deactivated her Instagram that night, then her TikTok, then her Twitter. She posted one final message on her story before it vanished. Some people build entire personalities around playing victim. I hope they find peace. I'm done being punished for someone else's guilt. And then she disappeared. Poof, gone. No warning, no follow-up, just digital dust. But me, I slept that night. For the first time in months, I actually slept. Not the kind where you toss and turn, heart racing, mind replaying conversations you never should have had. Real sleep, dreamless, quiet, clean. But this isn't the part where I say I healed. And tie a bow on it. Healing doesn't look like a before and after photo. Sometimes it looks like crying in Target because you passed the shampoo brand she once made fun of you for using. Sometimes it looks like writing a message you never send. Sometimes it's just waking up and not checking her page. That's progress. Jade may be gone, but her shadow still lingers. Not because I miss her, but because I miss who I thought she was. And that's what makes frenemies worse than exes. Exes break your heart. Frenemies make you doubt your soul. The quiet aftermath. After Jade disappeared, the world got quieter. The constant noise, the whispered rumors, the sideways glances, the ever-present tension faded like static after you turn off the radio. But quiet doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's just the calm before your mind starts playing tricks on you. I moved into a new apartment, bigger, brighter, a place with windows that let in sunlight all day. I filled it with plants and books and candles scented like fresh linen. I wanted to create a space where I could breathe again, without ghosts lurking in the corners. But the hardest part wasn't the physical change. It was the mental one. I realized how deeply Jade had infiltrated my sense of self, not just my trust, but my confidence, my boundaries, my judgment. I doubted everything. Was I really a good friend? Was I overreacting? Was I too sensitive? Did I somehow invite her betrayal? Therapy helped. A lot. I learned how to untangle my feelings from hers, how to stop blaming myself for someone else's cruelty. I relearned what friendship meant, not the chaos or the competition, but respect and honesty. And slowly, I started rebuilding. But rebuilding wasn't a straight line. There were setbacks. Like the night I caught myself scrolling through Jade's old photos on my phone. The pictures where we looked happy, laughing in the sun, arms around each other, sharing secrets. I stared at them until tears filled my eyes. Not because I wanted her back, but because I mourned the idea of what we could have been. Or the time I accidentally ran into one of her new friends at a coffee shop. The girl smiled nervously, like she didn't know if she should be friendly or fearful. I nodded, said hello, and walked away with my throat tight. There were nights I stayed awake wondering how someone so close could become so toxic. How the person who promised to catch me if I fell instead kicked me down. But then came the good days. The mornings I woke up feeling strong. The evenings when laughter came easy, not forced. The moments I caught myself saying no without guilt, walking away without regret. I met new people, real friends, women who celebrated me without reservations, who didn't compete for a spotlight but shared it. One of them is Mia. Mia is a writer, fierce and kind, with a laugh that fills a room and a way of making you feel like you've known her forever. She helped me see that not every broken friendship is a failure. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes it's growth. With her, I started a project, a blog, just honest stories about female friendships, toxicity, betrayal, and healing. Not to expose Jade or anyone else, but to give women a voice when they feel alone in their pain. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from all over. Stories of frenemies, betrayal, gaslighting, all woven with hope and resilience. It made me realize something. We're not broken because of what others do to us. We're broken because we believe their lies. And healing begins when we stop believing. One night, months later, I got a message. It was from Jade. Simple. 3 words. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to delete it immediately, but another part, the part that still remembers the girl who once held my hair back, that part wanted to hear what she'd say. So I replied, when? We met at a cafe, neutral ground, the kind of place with soft jazz and nobody who knew us. She looked different, tired, not the glossy Instagram Jade, the real Jade. We talked for hours, no accusations, no blaming, just stories. She admitted the jealousy, the control, the fear of losing me. I told her about the pain, the betrayal, the way it shaped me. And in that conversation, I realized something important. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are just as broken as we are. I don't know where we go from here. Maybe nowhere. Maybe somewhere. But for the first time, I feel like I own my story. Not as a victim, but as a woman who survived the mirror she shattered and walked away whole. Walking into the light. The hardest part about walking away from a toxic friendship isn't the goodbye. It's learning to walk forward without the shadow following you. I thought by now I'd be healed, that the cracks Jade left would have sealed, the scars faded. But healing isn't a neat timeline. It's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes it sneaks up when you least expect it. Since that last conversation with Jade, I've made peace with what happened between us. Not because everything is forgiven, but because I refuse to carry the weight of resentment anymore. I stopped asking why she did it, stopped replaying every conversation, stopped blaming myself for her choices. I focus on what I can control now, me. I started new routines, mornings with meditation instead of anxiety, workouts that build strength, not punishment, journals filled with gratitude, not pain. I even dated again, not recklessly, not desperately, but with open eyes and a cautious heart. Adam isn't in my life anymore, and honestly, that chapter is closed. But I met someone else. His name is Elliot. He's nothing like the boys I chased before. Quiet, steady, kind. He listens without judgment and laughs at my terrible jokes. More importantly, he respects my history without letting it define me. With Elliot, I feel safe. And friendships? I learned to be picky. I don't need a dozen friends who gossip and compete. I want a few who lift me up. Women who celebrate my wins and hold my hand during losses. Women who aren't afraid of honesty, who don't see vulnerability as weakness. Sometimes Jade still crosses my mind, not in pain or anger, but like a chapter in a book that changed the whole story. She taught me who I am by showing me who I'm not. She showed me how thin the line is between love and possession, how toxic people can hide behind smiles and stories, how important it is to listen to your gut, even when it's screaming while your mind whispers doubts. So here I am, standing in my apartment, windows wide open, sunlight spilling onto the floor, and me, finally ready to live beyond the mirror she shattered. Because you know what? Broken things can still shine, sometimes even brighter.